All right. I'm going to try to tell a story about a customer of mine from a few years ago. Gosh, actually, it's been maybe 5 years ago now. I've never told anyone about this, so we'll see how it comes out. This is not a situation I run into often, but it's definitely something that's out there for sure. So I get the job lead and get the direction, the address, and you're driving up the interstate, and then you turn on an exit, and before you know it, you're on a curvy 2-lane road, rural, sort of mountainous, not big mountains though. And then you turn on this little 2-lane side road, curvy road, and then you know you're definitely in the rural part of the world. And then you turn on a gravel driveway. And then within 100 feet, you stop at a gate. Once I got through the gate, gravel driveway continues. There's a small house right there. And keep going. On around maybe quarter of a mile is the main house. And there's it's odd. There's something in your brain that tells you, "Oh, I should be nervous about this." It The only way I can describe it is when I was pulling up to the house, it was like, "Oh, it's this kind of money." Because it's a big house way off the road, gated. They have their own tennis court. That sort of thing. And this is their second home or third or whatever. It's not their main house. This is their sort of getaway place. Anyway, pull up and park and get out. And of course, the dog's out, but the owner says the dog's fine. So I come on in the house and start talking to them about what their technology needs are. And, just start my normal process, asking questions, looking for answers, seeing what I can do for them. Now, keep in mind, this is their vacation getaway house, right? But it's still high tech. They have full uh, zone controlled audio system. So there's a little screen in every room that allows them to control the music in the room, that kind of stuff. Super nice house, by the way. And, you know, I tried my best to answer their questions and take care of things for them. And then there was a point. I'm sorry, I'm a little foggy on what happened on what days. I ended up going back once or twice because some parts were needed. So all of this I'm going to kind of clump into one visit because I can't remember. Okay, so at one point I'm sitting on the couch in the living room with the wife setting up the oh, nope, sorry, back up. I had set up a new Roku device, a streaming device, because the one they had was very old and they don't age very well. So it's a cheap thing to fix and replace. And help them to get set up. Now, of course, doing this process, at some point they have to enter payment information for something. It seems to happen a lot, and I usually have to help them. It was the next visit when I'm on the couch with her, and she pulls out her credit card statement, and she wants to ask me about charges that are on her credit card. And I had never used the card. I had never touched it, I don't think. Um, I have no real concept of what led her to this, but it was obvious she thought I had stolen the card and made charges, because if you look at the credit card statement, there are like names of um the service that you paid for, basically. And so, she showed me one she didn't understand, and I was like, I don't know what that. I don't even know what that is. And so I looked it up, and I was like, oh, that's Amazon or whatever it was. And then we just went down the list, and I'm just like looking up her charges so I can try to explain what they are, while in a roundabout way she's trying to say that I charged these things. That's how clueless she is to what money she spends. She doesn't even know what's on the bill. Um, but at some point during this conversation, oh god, I can't remember the wording exactly. I've tried to forget about this, but she says something about, if I had stolen the card or whatever, she was going to have to go in the other room and get a pillow, insinuating she was going to smother me to death. And I remember I completely freaked out on the inside. And I made sure to not react at all on the outside. Because in those moments, your brain goes, okay, we're going to do whatever it takes to survive and to get out of here alive, and we are never coming back. And I'm sitting here just looking forward, just talking about the things on the credit card bill. I'm holding the paper. And she said that, and then I acted like I didn't hear it and kept talking about what I was talking about. And out of the corner of my left eye, my peripheral vision, she's sitting there, and her demeanor goes from, I might have to do away with this person, in seconds it goes to, oh, I'm going to be friendly with this person now. It was like she wasn't even serious. Like, it went away that fast. And I I am very sure if I had actually showed fear and reacted the way I felt, she would have thought that I was showing guilt. And that would not have gone well. No one knew where I was. This is the kind of place where no one would actually hear you scream because you're that far away from anybody else. So that was one part of that job. That was one thing that happened. That was probably the only actual threatening part of that job, but one part they had an old camera system, and there were a couple of cameras out that needed to be replaced. I had ordered one or two, whatever, and I replaced two that I could reach down low. And there was one on the sort of back corner of the house that was, it was like the ground was down at basement floor level, but then you had basement, main level, and then upper level. So you needed a ladder 3 stories to get up to change that camera. And just in conversation with the homeowner, this was the guy I was talking to. Uh, he's talking about maybe getting a ladder and stuff. And by this point, the thought of being high up on a ladder around these people was like, oh, I'm going to act like I'm going to do this job, but there's no way I'm getting on a ladder with you around. No way. I didn't trust these people to not throw me off that ladder. I mean, because it would have taken like a 35-foot ladder at least to get up there just to change the camera. I didn't care how much money that job paid, it was never going to happen. But I did, a little bit of work for him and made the best out of it that I could. But after that day of sitting with her on the couch, I got a check. They were pleased, they were satisfied, and I got the hell out of there. And I never answered their call again. I never went back. I told them I was sick. I told them I wasn't working. I disappeared. I will never go back. And I've only had a couple of those, but I can tell you what, that is not something you want to go through ever. Knowing those kind of people are actually out there. Let me tell you something. I will never watch one of these stupid mafia movies in entertainment, because those people are real and they're worse than they are in the movies. It's not cool. It's not fun. Yeah. Maybe I'll tell the other story one day, but for now, that's all I want to say about that one. But it's funny how that initial nervousness going into that job actually meant something. Like it actually played out that way. And I will say one last thing. The longer you live and the more experiences you have, the farther away you see the red flags. When you're 16 years old, you don't really see the world for what it is yet because you don't know. But the more experiences you have, the more you really understand what's what. And I think my body was warning me before I even realized it. And yeah, never going back. Oh yeah, I wanted to throw in one more thing about this story. When I was first to the house and I was speaking with the guy there, he did mention that the company that had set up their technology before had just had disappeared. And I've found I have learned to listen when people tell you things. When someone says, I used to have someone doing this work and now I don't because they won't answer the phone or they disappeared or whatever, listen to that. That means something, usually. In this case, I don't know if it means they disappeared that company or maybe that company just went out of business. I don't know. But I have learned to pay attention to things like that. Just something to think about.